we're back again with the 68 camper. Last time we had some problems with the valves. It was getting stuck open, so we're gonna have to get that valve freed up, get a new push rod in, fix the push rod tube. Hopefully we can get it started back up again, back to running, because you can't just sit here in the driveway leaking oil all over the place. Just need to get this valve cover off, which I didn't reconnect. It was this one right here. That one is just pushed in a little bit. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this rocker shaft off. All the rockers are connected, you know, kind of like a Mopar or an LS engine. These are just 213s. We're going to take this whole shaft off, and then we're just going to tap on these valves, especially that one. Get that one freed up again, maybe hit it with a little PB blaster or something, and just get it working again. I thought it would have been freed up as much as we were running it, but apparently it wasn't, and a couple revs just got it bound up and bent the push rod and put a big old hole in the push rod tube. So yep, let's get to doing that. Okay, first thing we're going to do is just zip this rocker shaft off of here. Just 2 bolts. No big deal. And there's a couple washers that we don't want to lose. One there. And one there. And just wiggle the shaft off. And check your other push rods, make sure they're in good shape. That one's good. That one's fine. That one's fine. So everything else is good there. And where's my hammer? I didn't bring my hammer. Okay, here's my hammer. So we got one stuck valve, we know. And when you have something that's been sitting around this long, it's probably a good idea to check the valves anyway. I don't really suggest this with a unpadded hammer. It's smarter to use a mallet or something, but if you take it easy and just tap it lightly, it'll be fine. Just make sure to hit the valves nice and square. You hear that noise? That's good. You can hear it springing back. Hear it springing back. You really hear that one springing back. Let's hit this one. You hear that? That is solid. Solid, solid, solid. Spring, 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 solid. So I'm just gonna stick my PB blast in here. I don't know if those coils are bound up too tight, but I'm gonna go ahead and just tap it down. Eventually that spring pressure will get so tight that it'll bounce back, and then we can get a little more PB blaster in there. It's going down. Well, haha, that went way down and hasn't sprung back up yet. It's pretty bound. Give it a few more taps. Yep, that one, it's not doing what it's supposed to do. I pretty much hammered it all the way down, and so hopefully we don't have a bent valve or something in there. Normally it would have just sprung back up. Well, let me get this camera out of the way, give it a few more taps, and maybe have to pry it back out a little bit, and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Got it unstuck. Just had to take the screwdriver in there and put it in between a couple coils to give it some more tension, and it popped back up. So now I can get in between those coils a little bit better with the old PB blaster here. I don't think it penetrated last time. I think the coils were bound up a little bit too much. So now we will hammer it back down again and see if it still gets stuck. And it's going back down again. Yep, it's down and stuck again. So I'll show you what I did last time. I just put the screwdriver right about here and gave it a few taps. Get down there low. There it is. That is really sticky. I'm really worried that that one's bent. Hit it again with some more PB Blaster. Real good. Hammer it down again. It is not fraying up. It's just going down, getting stuck, and going down and getting stuck. Oh, there it comes. Getting a little bit easier to pry it up though. Oh, went down and came back up that time. See, now it's not. I'm hammering on it and it's not going back down. So just hit it with a little bit more PB Blast. Give it a few more hits. Not good for the top of the valve, but it seems to be working. I mean, it's not really, didn't really scar it up. You just have to really hit that nice and solid in between there. So yeah, that should do it. It seems to be freed up now. Hopefully it's going to stay that way. Now I'm just going to do that little PB Blaster to all the valves real quick, just to be on the safe side. I'm just going to tap them all a little bit. There we go. That should free up our valve, and hopefully we won't get stuck again. So we lost a lot of oil. So what I'm going to do is I'll just probably drain that oil, the rest of that oil out, get that PB out, back out of there. That went inside the engine. Put some more in there. Get these rockers back on there. Adjust the valves again. Oh, I almost forgot. Before we do that, I got to get that push rod tube back in there, and I'll show you what I have for that in just a moment. Okay, so what we have here is our expandable push rod, and it would go together like that. And the spring, you got to put a lot of pressure on that spring to get it pushed back down. But there's a seal. You got 3 seals. One goes in the middle, and one goes on each end right here. The spring goes in the middle, so it just collapses. You got to push real hard, collapse it together, get it in between the head and the block. Then it creates a seal using these guys. This is just supposed to be really a temporary fix. I mean, they will last quite a while, but eventually you're probably going to get a little bit of leakage because you just don't have enough pressure with the spring when these things start to seat in real good. And they start to fail and leak a little bit, but yeah, you get you by for the season or a year or something until winter comes along, and you can pull it back out and do it the proper way by taking the heads off, putting the collapsible middle ones in there, and torquing it back down to where it's supposed to go. So let's throw this in there. We'll get some oil and see if we can't get this thing started back up again. And this is what it's supposed to look like. Seal, spring, washer, seal, other tube, other seal. And as you can see, you just gotta push it together. Then you have to get it up there without expanding it. And then when you get up there, it expands and creates a seal. But it's a little bit difficult to do with, you know, one hand up in there. But this is your fix. Okay, I went ahead and put it up in there. It's not quite enough room for me, my hands, and the camera all at the same time to show you how it's done, but just pretty much squeeze it together, put one end in, and then let the other end expand into the other side. And yeah, so that's it. It's quick, it's easy, and it gets you back on the road. Now we just have to get our new push rod, make sure it's not bent, because it's not really a new push rod, it's a used push rod. Make sure it goes into the lifter, which seems to be okay. Toss our rocker arms back on, get everything aligned back up like so-ish. Get these guys back on here and here. Nuts back on there and there. And you got to make sure to torque these to whatever spin that they are supposed to be torqued to. And we got a little bit of slop there, so that needs to be readjusted. Everything else seems good. So this is a solid flat tappet, so you have to adjust your valves all the time. Well, not all the time. I think it's every 6,000 miles you're supposed to adjust your valves, and it's, you know, a lot of people differ, but I put them at 0.006, and that is definitely not 0.006. So okay, well, I have to go get some oil, adjust this, the valve lash on this one, and probably just check them all. I'm going to check them all, put the oil in, and see if we can't get it started back up. So push rod tube, push rod, rocker arm assembly, valve adjusted, everything put back together. I checked the oil, it's only half a quart low, so it looked like a lot more oil when it fell out onto the ground. So we'll be good to go ahead and see if she'll fire back up now. Well, let's give it a try. I left the ignition on for like a week. Of course the battery's dead, so let me get the battery charger real quick. Okay, we're all hooked up. We got it on boost. Let's see if she'll start. Still a little bit of a mess somewhere. I did not change the, what didn't I change? I didn't change the points. I just sort of scraped them up. Maybe we need to change the points. I mean, I adjusted them. They seem to fire okay. It smells a little gassy. We got too much fuel. Maybe we need to adjust on the carburetor some more too. Well, there's a storm coming up. It will start raining pretty heavily here pretty soon. And since the top is not 100% sealed, I'm going to pull it into the garage for the night and get it out of this weather so we don't ruin the nice interior that we just put in. So next time you see it, we'll come out and we have to fix the brake lines because it has no brakes. It blew the brake line as well when we were backing out of the driveway and it spilled the oil all over the place. So I'll be right back and we'll fix the brake line. Okay, so the storm is over. We got the bus back out and I was going to work on the brake line, but I think it's a wheel cylinder and I do not have a 46mm socket to take this hub off, this axle nut to get the hub assembly off. So we are going to have to move on to something else until I get that 46mm. I checked the hardware store, I checked Harbor Freight, they don't have one that big. May have to order that. We'll go check a couple more places later. But let's get in to doing some more on the interior of this bus. So, what I was thinking is, we have this big hole that I have been stepping in every time I go to get in and out of this thing. So I think that needs to go away. Now they do make a patch panel for the entirety of this floor, or I think in like 3 sections, 1, 2, 3 sections. But I mean, we could just buy this one section, cut it and weld it in. That'd be the proper way to do it. But we have this panel, and if you have followed the channel before, you will have saw me put this same panel in for floor pans in my Buick Apollo. So this is part of a 2006 Chevy Express van that I cut up using engine transmission for something else. Pretty much just going to cut right along that line right there and sheet metal right into place. Quick, easy, and done. So we just need a quick couple measurements here. We'll go length about 49 inches by about 13. It's gonna be on this one. By about 12.5 inches. So 49 by 12.5 inches should be fine. So let's just mark it off here. Oh, it's not long enough. We got 46 inches. So good enough. I mean, it doesn't need to be that long, I guess. We're going to use 12.5 inches here though. So about, cut there to there, about 12.5 inches about there. And if we have to add a little bit more, we'll add a little bit more. But this should be fine. It's almost 47 inches, 46.5 inches. Cut there, cut it across there, and it should work nicely. So now it's time to cut out our panel. It's starting to rain here a little bit, no big deal, but just keeps down the fires. One's done. I'm just going to trim this other side off a little bit and then we'll fit it and see if she'll fit. All right, trimming is done, and let's slip this in here and see what we got. Not bad. I'm gonna hit it with a few sheet metal screws, maybe hit it with a hammer, and that's pretty close right there, but that should be about right there maybe. That should be good. All right, we are ready to zap some screws in here. Harbor Freight screws. Oh, that moved around on me a little bit. It has to be pushed out just a hair in order for the door to shut properly. Just going to give this a test shot and look and see where it's hitting, and that looks pretty good. So let's pop a few more of these in here. Totally random. Is that going through? I guess so. This is a really good sheet metal screw for a really low price. I strongly suggest it. Harbor Freight has all kinds of things like this in these little boxes. You just go and pick them up and keep them around even if you don't need them. I always buy these. Anytime I go in there, I try to pick up one of these random cases just to have lying around just for days like this. I would say that would do it. Again, this isn't the proper way to do it. This whole camper is just to show you how you can patch things up just to get by, make your vehicle running instead of sitting in your yard for 10, 15, 20 years. If you have to, patch it up until you can get a proper job done. Now we don't have a hole, and when we go to replace this, we're going to cut probably, I think the panel comes about 12 to 16 inches, somewhere in there, in here. So we're going to be cutting all this out anyway, so it's not going to matter that we have this panel and that we screwed a bunch of sheet metal screws in here, because it's going to be gone. I tossed in a little strip right here too. So yeah, it does not look good. We're gonna put some indoor-outdoor carpet on here, so that'll cover it up, and it's not a very big space. The rest of the floor is pretty good shape, so no harm, no foul there. Well, things are starting to come along. There's so many little things, but I think this is going to be the next. This is a rubber window sill. This is a dormobile, so that means it has windows up there, and of course the sills are really old. I got one glass up there and one just plexiglass. This is just for the glass one, because we're gonna have to do something else with the plexiglass over there, because I don't think we're gonna find that glass to replace the missing panel on the other side. So let's have a look at that real quick. So this right here is our OG window, and as you can see, the seal shot. This one here, the window already got busted out apparently, and they just stuck a little plexiglass over top of it, which is not cut well. So I am just going to pop out this seal right here, which is going to be incredibly easy. Now putting the new seal back in, that might be a little more challenging, but we're going to give it a try. Okay, well, I imagine that this should not be very difficult. Maybe. I just don't want to break that. That seal is so hard there. I just want to be careful not to push the glass out of the other side as well. Come on. Come on out of there. Here it comes. That was not so hard. I suppose you could go to a glass guy and have that cut, but yeah, that's money. So let's clean up the rest of this seal and start popping this back in. Yeah, well, here's our seal, and it goes in there in some fashion or the other. So so you don't have to watch me struggle doing this. I am just going to do this off camera, figure it out, and then we'll look at the finished result. Okay, well, here comes the rain again. There's this thunder. I don't know if you can hear it, but we're going to have to get this back into the garage, so we won't be able to get that window in this time. So make sure to like, share, and subscribe so you can see when I get this window in. We'll do that next time on Street Rat Garage. Until next time.